So we're just going pretty much straight down right now, moving forward a little bit. This is our drop zone, bring the submarine down here, and then drive towards the reef where the fish are. So a couple other little things to keep in mind. You're probably not going to have cell service underwater. There's no radio waves down here, so there's no Wi-Fi, no internet, no cell service of any kind. So if you're worried about your battery life, it's already on low battery, you might want to switch to airplane mode. It's going to help your battery live a little bit longer. The phone's going to be looking for cell service, working harder than normal, and it's not going to find it, so it drains your battery pretty quick. I know, I'm totally kidding. He's been driving this up for about 15 years now. Trained professional, done thousands and thousands of dives on this vessel. So his job is to take us underwater, show us something cool, and bring us back up to the surface. In the meantime, I'll tell you all about whatever we see. So he's going to drive us around about a 6-acre area underwater, kind of zigzagging back and forth. Getting us up close and personal to these different types of reefs. So a reef can be pretty much anything underwater that's a structure. It could be a man-made reef, which we call artificial reef, or it could be a all-natural reef. So an example of a man-made artificial reef would be something like a sunken ship, right? Ships don't grow underwater, we all know that, so it's not natural. But if you put a ship underwater, it attracts fish, corals grow, and the whole ecosystem is developed. It takes a long time for it to happen. So our company started building up this dive site in the late 80s, I think 1988, 89, started placing structures down there. Over the years, it's developed into a pretty healthy ecosystem. A lot better than what it was. They used to all look like this, just kind of flat, sandy bottom, some corals, some fish. We're going to take you to those structures that we placed underwater. It takes a little while to get anywhere on this slow submarine. What's that?
Amazing, huh?
Just in front of us, I see one of our reefs. Captain Stu's just going to kind of pivot the submarine around so everybody can see these on both sides. So you should start to see fish pretty soon if you haven't seen any yet. Concrete structures on both sides of the sub now. So these are the very first ABC stores. No, just kidding. These are the Hawaiian pyramids. So these are just big concrete structures. They're built by some students at UH, the University of Hawaii, part of the marine biology program. Put them down there just to study the type of fish that would inhabit an artificial reef. So this is the very first structure that our company placed on the dive site. 1989 is the year they were placed here. They don't really grow corals too well, but they do attract fish. It's like hotels for fish. They can come and go, or they can live their whole life here. So as we pass by those reefs, there's not much else to see. On the port side down there, there's a big anchor on the bottom. Port side's the left side of the sub if you're looking up towards me, and starboard side is the right. So that anchor, we really don't know much about it. We don't know where it came from or how long it's been underwater. We didn't place it here. It was here when we came and started building this area up. But this is what the whole dive site used to look like. Some grass, some corals, mostly not much at all. Many years ago, before Waikiki was fully developed, this used to be a beautiful area. All this sand is not supposed to be here. It all got washed off the beach in Waikiki. Waikiki is all man-made, if you guys weren't aware of that. It'd be a big marshland, very wet. That's why there's the canal on the north side of town that takes all that rainwater from the mountain and diverts it around Waikiki into the ocean. So all this sand over the years gets washed offshore with the waves and the tides, and it covered all the pretty corals that used to be here. So our mission is to raise up the seafloor, give these corals a second chance, bring the fish back, try to rebuild this area. So the second reef we're going to see is on the port side first, left side of the sub. These structures are specifically designed for growing any type of thing underwater. We use them here for growing corals. There's some pretty good sized corals all over those. Lots of pretty fish. So we call these our Japanese reefs. They're built in Japan, in a city called Osaka. They were donated to us for our dive site. Made out of fiberglass, and the bottom is concrete so they don't get blown away by big surf. See a porcupine pufferfish down there, kind of swimming over the sand. Funny looking fish, he's drag racing us. Most common fish we're seeing, these black ones, are all different types of damsels. Black and white striped ones, the long fin, those are pennant butterfly fish.
Nè, nó có cái chữ nha, summer cái gì đó, chữ ở đây này. Nó dưới.
Oh, we got a bunch of millet sea butterfly fish up here on the port side. These are bright yellow with a black spot on their tail. These are endemic to the islands of Hawaii. Found nowhere else in the whole world.
Trời ơi, này giống như là mình đang coi trong cái này. Butterfly fish.
Wow.
Đẹp chưa? Thấy không? Mà mình quay không thấy cái màu nó đẹp đó ha. Nhìn thì đẹp, mắt bởi vì nhìn đầu mắt nhưng quay nó thấy đẹp đó.
Wow, cái biển không có gì hết ngoài đá hay sao? Thấy không, thấy cái cụm gì đó không? Tối nó mở đèn sáng.
That come off, yeah.
Alright, so starboard side, right side of the sub. Driving right alongside of an underwater ridge line. We're going to spin the submarine around in just a moment. We'll pass by this natural reef.
Bên này sát hơn nữa.
Sát luôn mà.
Bên đây nó sáng.
Bước qua, bỏ qua.
Giống như là cái nấu dưới biển.
So this is what Hawaii should look like all over the place. Beautiful corals. But these corals have to have something hard to grow on. They can't grow in the sand. Sand shifts around too much. So they're growing on lava rock up here. This is all made by volcanic eruption. So it's kind of like a shelf, like a drop-off, like where Nemo was born. Just a miniature version. This drop-off's only about 20 feet. Our big drop-off is another mile off. So we're spinning this submarine around now. It takes about 45 seconds to spin all the way around. We're 101 feet long. We only have 120 horsepower between all 6 of our propellers, all of our thrusters. So it's almost as much as a Honda Civic, but much bigger, moving through the water. So we do everything pretty slow down here. The only thing we can do quickly is go up. That's for good reason. So anytime we show something on just one side of the sub, we'll spin it around so you guys can see on the other side also. You can look over your shoulder at any time. So we can do that pretty easily for things like this. The reef's never going to move. But things that live here can move, like sharks and turtles and dolphins and rays. We see those things sometimes. So you see those bigger silverfish, there's 3 of them right there. These are bluefin trevally. We have 3 different types of trevally that live here. They're all the main predators in this area. These real big ones to get towards the sunken ships.
Cái này sát xuống đây biển luôn.
Nè, cá bự đó. Cá này ngon lắm nè.
Cá đó hấp nhậu đã lắm ha.
Nổi không? Nổi không? Tụi em đang ở dưới biển á.
Nó phải đeo bình khí mà nặng thêm nặng nữa.
Ở đây có cho mình đi xuống coi cá mập mà nó bỏ mình trong cái thùng lưới á.
Cái đó ở bên Bahama đó.
Ở đây có.
Đây có. Mình không coi đâu.
Nó tuột ra, mình phải bơi, rồi xong mình bơi. Em có bơi với cá mập rồi. Không, mình nói mình bơi á là mình tuột xuống á là cá mập xung quanh mình. Cá mập bơi ngay em là em ở trong cái lồng giống vậy, y chang vậy luôn. Nhớ gì mình Atlantis đi ở trong cái lồng luôn. Em làm cái đó rồi.
Alright, you guys can see we're kind of making a turn here, pivoting the submarine around to starboard. We're going to do kind of like a nice wide U-turn. We're going to head straight offshore to deeper water. We're 97 feet right now. A couple feet to go, you guys will be the newest members of the 100 Club. 1 foot to go. Not too many people get to go 100 feet underwater in their life. Normally scuba divers, people in the Navy, things like that. If you're part of the club, it's official. We'll be down here for about 3 or 4 minutes. There's a moorhead eel on the port side. Look under that flat structure there. Part of a sailboat. He's just poking his head out.
Sát luôn. Sát cái này thì ngon.
Rồi đó là sát luôn rồi nè.
Sát luôn.
Mấy cái
Cái đầu lên kìa.
nằm trong đó luôn ha.
Mấy cây giống như cây rừng ấy, giống trên rừng.
Cái rừng á, cái cây.
Cái này bây giờ nó sát cho mình coi nè.
À. Wow, cái này rụng luôn ha.
Động quá ha.
Trồng lúa hả? À.
Alright, starboard side coming up on part of an airplane. There's a huge giant trevally under the
Đây là
wing.
cái máy bay rồi đó.
Sao lòng mình à?
Dạ.
Probably about a 40-pound fish. They can get up to 200 pounds.
Chút nữa nó quay cho mình coi. Nó đưa sơ thử thấy.
Hả?
Nó đưa sơ thử thấy.
Cái gì?
So in 1991, our company bought 2 airplanes
Đó, máy bay
in
nè.
perfect condition and put them underwater. Over the years, storms have kind of thrown these planes around. They're really light. We've had big storms, big surge, hurricanes. There's a lot of storm surge. The water's moving around a lot. These planes get tossed around and beat up. They've been underwater for about 30 years now. So first plane was on starboard, second plane will be on the port side. This plane on port side, 2 hours ago there was a white-tip reef shark swimming around. So we're going to look around for sharks. I think he's under the wing. You can see the point of his nose is facing to the left. And then the 2 fins on his back. He's taking a nap in the shadows there. It's a white-tip reef shark.
Bây giờ máy bay đúng không?
Bye bye, cánh
So
bye
they're
bye.
super lazy in the daytime. They become active at night. There's other predators that hunt in the daytime, so these guys take the night shift. There's less competition.
Máy bay không? Máy bay cái gì
Cái
vậy?
cánh của máy bay á, máy bay nó bị. Hồi nãy bên kia là 2 cái máy bay nhỏ.
Cái này gần như mình coi ha. Cái nó xa ha.
Nó về ra thôi.
Cái này
Tên lại.
So both of these airplanes are Mitsubishi YS-11. They're passenger airplanes. Carry people around the Hawaiian Islands all through the 80s. They went out of business in 1989. We bought 2 airplanes, and they were quickly destroyed by hurricanes.
Đúng, 589 á. Không?
They used to be 60 feet underwater, so pretty far inshore from this area. They got blown all the way out here.
Cái này bự nè. Cái này bự quá. Cái này bự lắm.
We're gonna leave the 100-foot zone. If you guys want that picture and didn't get it yet, go for it.
mai 1 sau 5 tháng thôi. Từ từ nó không lại. Đúng không?
Cái này nó giữ lại mới cho mình có Submarine mình đi coi đây nè. Ủa cái cát gì mà mịn luôn hả? Cái, wow.
Cái này giống giống không?
Cái này giống ở trên luôn, giống như trên bờ mình luôn rồi nè.
Ừ.
Yeah.
Đây biển á.
Đúng mà amazing chưa trên dưới đáy biển mà là cát nè.
Mấy cái cây giống như nó cấy như thế
À.
này.
Nó cũng là.
Alright, we are headed up a little bit. We're gonna go up about 30 feet or so. So 70 or 80 feet to find 2 sunken ships.
Nó là lên cao tí.
Có núi luôn. Hết hồn.
Mấy cái cây này nè ha.
À, cây lạ thì giống như cây lúa nhưng mà
Như bị rong biển á, nó dính thế đó mà nó mọc luôn, nó mọc ở đó.
Okay, coming up on the starboard side, we've got a sunken ship over here.
Lô nè, thấy không? Cái lô này.
Alright, looking at the San Pedro, the sunken ship that we have down here.
có một cái tàu đóng ở đây nè. Sinking ship nè.
Oh, there's a swimming sea turtle. Check it out, guys. Starboard side. Okay.
Không lát nó quay lại.
Ô đùa kìa,
Ồ, rùa bự rồi.
That was good timing.
đùa bò kìa.
That was another turtle. Look, he's kind of nestled in, kind of camouflaging. Starboard side, look on the deck. He's hiding in a little hole there.
Cá nó bụng ra, nguyên bầy cá.
Cá chỉ vàng.
Cá vàng á. Nó này.
Cá này.
good timing. Normally those turtles are kind of sleeping
Giống như
like this,
tàu
like
chưa
when
chiếc
we
biên quá
thought.
ha.
Prefer to actually see them swimming down. So we just caught her just in time where he came up to the surface for a breath of air and he was coming back down to the ship.
Phút trên cao thì không có cá gì.
Alright, see the San Pedro out in front of us. We'll be on the port side in a few seconds. Look around for turtles. That one that was swimming could have ended up anywhere. A couple big trevally down here, hiding under the stern of the Pedro.
Mấy ký?
Sáng vậy đó đây.
Got a bunch of blue striped snapper, yellow tail, tiny blue stripes on the side. That fish is from Tahiti. They call it ta'ape over there. One turtle is still hiding inside the ship. You can see the shell on its head.
Kia giờ nó quay qua lại, thấy không? Nào nằm Titanic á. Con rùa kìa, rùa vắn rùa kìa. Nó nằm trong con rùa. Nè, rùa dễ sợ chưa nằm trong kia đó à.
Oh, that other turtle has landed right at the very front of the ship. He's kind of hard to see, blending in really well with the front of the bow there.
Này nó
You
có
can just see the top of the shell.
biển mà biển rùa đó, mình có thời gian để mình đi cái đó nữa.
Those turtles camouflage really well with the ships. That's one reason they like them. They can hide from their only predator, which is a tiger shark. The only shark big and strong enough to bite through a turtle shell around here. Another reason is it protects them from the current. They can come down here and sleep right up alongside of something and the current will be blown over them instead of push them around.
Rồi nó đứng, mình giống như thấy nó đứng vậy. Mình cảm thấy giống như nó đứng chỗ.
All these little reef fish like when the turtles come around too, because these turtles have things like algae and barnacles and other parasites that grow on their skin and on their back.
Oh, yeah,
These
nó
little
quay
fish
đầu-
eat all
nó
the
quay
stuff
đầu quá.
off of them. So the fish gets some food, turtle gets a car wash, everybody's happy. They're like the size of their rear flippers. So we're looking at the YO-257. This ship is a U.S. Navy vessel. Served in World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam.
Chiến tranh Việt Nam á.
Tàu này là hồi xưa đi chiến tranh.
Well, big
Chiến
will
tranh Việt Nam
look
á.
under the catwalk on the far side of the ship.
Ngựa nằm đâu hết trơn kìa.
So Alua is the Hawaiian name for a giant trevally.
Tại biết tàu này tàu Việt Nam Nhật Quyền tới đây. Quyền tới đây. Tàu Việt Nam chỉ có Nhật Quyền.
Nó bị chìm đó ha.
Bự quá ha. Có đâu nó nhiều cái tàu á, nó vớt người ta xong rồi cái tàu nó để nó đã tự đắm xuống.
It will spin around again. You can see the ship out in front of us. We'll have it on the port side in about 20 seconds where you get kind of a cool view out of the front looking down the bow of the YO. Captain Stu has the best seat in the sub, I think.
Giờ hết rồi nè.
There's a couple raccoon butterfly fish right here along the bow, real pretty fish. We have a bunch of butterfly fish here. They're all very bright and colorful, all different shapes, colors, and sizes.
Chạy qua sang đây nè.
So pyramid butterfly fish are white and yellow, kind of a white pyramid shape on the side of them.
To chứ sao.
Those are pretty common on this ship here.
Cái này cái tàu hồi nãy qua phía bên kia hả?
Chắc vậy quá.
Con cá đây rắn rắn. Dạ cá bụi dễ sợ hả? Đó, san hô.
cá bự.
So we're driving between two ships. You guys on the starboard side, off in the distance, can see kind of the San Pedro. That's where we just were before.
Dưới đây thì cái thành
Nào lại nói chiến đấu của súng ở đâu.
The turtle's still there, right on top of the ship, next to those tow posts that are sticking up above the stern.
mùa đâu mà chưa nãy giờ
The
chưa
turtle's most likely taking a nap. And tons of pennant butterfly fish, some pyramid butterfly fish, some black damsels all hanging out right off the stern there. All those fish are swimming up current. There's all that plankton in the water that's being blown right towards them, so they're eating. That's kind of how they feed. They swim up current, and the food comes straight to them.
cá nào này có ăn mình. Mắt mình nhìn thấy đẹp quá, mình nhìn vô trong đây nó một chút cái mình quay tiếp.
Alright, so we've seen everything we wanted to show you down here. So back below 100 feet, I'm guessing we're headed back towards the airplane. The only time we go this deep.
Sáng lấy luôn đó.
Yeah, we got airplane on the starboard side. This is the one that the shark was under. Oh, there's a pretty parrotfish over here, kind of rainbow colored, right next to the engine. And the shark is still there. You see the shark under the airplane wing, in the shadow.
Có một con cá mập ở dưới cái cánh tay phải á.
Có một con cá mập dưới cái tay này.
Đó, 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 cá mập lên.
A second airplane.
Máy bay thứ hai.
No more sharks, but a couple big Duoi.
Cá thu hả? Hả? Yeah.
Nó ăn con cá gì nữa.
Dữ ha, nhìn thấy dữ ha. Miệng hả? Hỏi ra thấy con dữ.
We're just kind of cruising around the dive site, passing by things we've seen before. Gonna spin around, see if that shark will stay. Discovery, the boat that brought you out here called. They said they're waiting on a couple guests, so you guys get some bonus time down here. Pretty good day to come out to. Nice, calm, clean conditions. Not every day is this pretty. Some days we can only see about 15, 20 feet through the water. Other days we can see 150 feet, but that's extremely rare. This is a little bit better than average. You see about 70 or 80 feet through the water today. You guys see an eel out there? Yeah, poking out. Yeah, it's a big broken piece of a sailboat. We don't really know where that came from either. After those hurricanes, there was a bunch of new stuff all over the dive site. That eel kind of lives there. He's here every day. One of our co-pilots named him Colonel. Sometimes there's another smaller. you can kind of see them a little further out.
Cánh bên này.
So it's depending on the direction we're traveling and which way the current's flowing. That depends how far or close we can get to different structures. So we always want to be on the downside of the current from a structure, so we get blown away from it and not towards it. It's easy to
Dưới đẹp
control
mà
it when you're getting blown away.
Bạn ơi, đẹp rồi. Trời, xịt khói ra kìa.
Quay đầu cái dịch á, dịch tất cả gì.
Nó đụng rồi đó.
chở rồi nó rớt nó đông đặc rồi đó.
Right? Kind of like red snappers are pretty good for eating.
Dưới thì ra cánh máy bay cả trời ha. Nó cứ vòng vòng vậy ha.
All this grass you see on the bottom is kind of like a algae. It's more like algae than seaweed. It's called Halimeda seagrass. It's what sea turtles eat. They'll eat this stuff, they'll eat algae off the rocks, and they'll eat jellyfish. We're heading towards our surfacing zone, so we're driving towards Diamond Head. That means Waikiki is straight out of the port side, about a mile away. So I can give you guys a reference of where we're traveling, which way we're facing. Well, underwater navigation is a little bit tricky. It's easy to get turned around. Everything looks the same down here. So you guys might see things like cinder blocks, like there's a couple on the port side. So we make these trails underwater for the harder to navigate areas like this one. Big stretches with no big natural landmarks. We don't have a GPS. GPS doesn't work underwater. So there's a ship off our starboard side there. Coming back through the sunken ships on our way to surface. So this whole time Captain Stu's been driving pretty much with just his eyes and his memory of the reef and what he knows. We have a compass and we have a depth gauge. Those are the two navigational tools. Compass shows us which way the sub's facing, and our depth gauge tells us how deep it is in a certain area. So we know if we're further offshore or inshore, we know the depth. So it's pretty much all visual. That's why you guys see things like cinder blocks, pipes, cables, all these things, even the texture in their skin. The only thing they can't change is their eyes, and they can't stop breathing. So if you see something that looks like coral or a rock and it's breathing, it's probably an octopus.
Lên từ từ đó ha. Hồi nãy giờ không có mực nào hả?
So we get a lot of questions about the submarine itself. Main question is how deep can this sub actually go? We went to 112 feet, that was our deepest test for this dive. It's rated by the guys who built it to go to 800 feet, but we've never tested that. Coast Guard won't allow us to go that deep, especially with passengers on board. They regulate us to 150 feet, because we have proven year after year in our Coast Guard inspections that all of our drills for safety work at 150. For every scenario that could possibly go wrong, we can safely get out of that situation 150 feet underwater. Any deeper than that, maybe, but we never proved it, so they signed us off at 150. We could take you that deep, but there's nothing to see. It's all just sand down there, no corals, not too many fish. Well, another big question is how do we fuel the sub? It's all battery powered, so we charge it up every night. You guys are all sitting on the batteries, they're under the seat. 240 batteries down there. They're all like giant car batteries, all wired together. Power pretty much everything on the sub. So 0 emissions, just like an electric car, but it's an electric submarine. We would take it back to Honolulu Harbor, about 3 miles away from here, towards it's up for 3 days without charging it. Just bad for the batteries to run them all the way down. So we just charge it up every night. The thrusters are what draw most power, those 6 thrusters. We have 2 bow thrusters in the front, 2 stern thrusters in the back. Both of those can run forward and reverse. They can turn port and starboard. That's how we drive around. Then vertical thrusters are sideways boat propellers that can move the sub up and down in the water. So most of the stuff is all electric, but we also use air. We have compressed air tanks. There's 48 of them. They're like giant scuba tanks. They're mounted right below your windows. You won't be able to see them, but they're right there. If we open those tanks, it'll send air up to the surface. It goes through this big vessel called the air ballast tank. There's a vent on the top of it. So if we close that vent, we can trap the air in there, and that's going to lift the submarine up. So that's how we're going to surface this up. We're just about at our surfacing zone. You see we kind of came to a stop. We're spinning around. We're going to send up a big air bubble up to the surface to mark our location, just like right up to the surface. So if you guys hear kind of a loud noise from the front, that's just the air tank being open, high pressure air moving around. It's a little noisy. That should be happening pretty shortly here.
Chạy mà 30 phút quá.
Có tới quay nãy giờ luôn à?
Ừ. Nè 32 phút mấy vậy nè. Mà nãy cho bấm đứng lại đó nha. Bấm phao đó đó, còn vậy đó. Ok các bạn thân mến, bây giờ chúng tôi đang ở dưới tàu ngầm. Nãy giờ là mình quay trực tiếp cho các bạn coi nha. Còn mấy phút nữa là hết rồi. Ok. Đó thì có cá, là có phải bay gì nữa nè. Đó, rồi cá con nè, rùa. Cá mập thì chưa thấy. Ok. Sợ quá, sợ lắm.
Roger, control. I'm going to blow the tanks at 1.6, isolated verticals, and I'll switch back to VHF. Coming up.
Lên rồi phải không? Lên rồi.
Alright, we got clearance to surface. We're going to shoot right up. Just take about 20 seconds. Might see pretty bubbles all around the submarine. All that high pressure air we're using to go up.
Okay.
Không thấy cũng lên nhanh ha.